Is everybody in? Is everybody in? The show is about to begin.
Welcome to the podcast, concerts that made us, interviews and stories, tales from the bus. We love taking you back to when it all went down, the greatest live shows and the cheering crowd sound. It's concerts that made us, concertsthatmadeus.com.
This is Emmaleen, and you're listening to Concerts That Made Us.
Choke on my own name, strangle and strain against this vow of silence. In a wasteland of chaos, cross, starving, hungry in the distance from Mother Deep, Mother Deep love. This nightmare begins in a dream. But I don't know how to be free. There's nowhere to run in a room that's a circle. Chased down by my own shadow. Are coming, the fires are here, the creatures cry blue murder. I'm going back to the trees that wail and bleed. Exiled, chained up, burnt out and held down, ripped away, torn up, tortured and hung one red rose, still breathing. Up to the third floor, the clock running backwards. Slowly turn the key and unlock the door. Open up wide and show me your kindness. The curse of Eve, the stain of Mary, the bed is a place of war. Starving, hungry for Mother Deep. Mother Deep love. Oh, there's nowhere to run in a cage that's a circle. Oh, I'm chased down by my own shadow. The floods are coming, the fires are here, the creatures cry blue murder. Well, I'm going back to the trees that will and bleed.
Emmaleen, you're very welcome to Concerts That Made Us.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's great to have you now. I'm really looking forward to diving into your music over the next bit. So you released The Sun Will Still Shine When You Die on the 20th of October. What can you tell us about it?
Oh, wow, there's so much to say about this album. Yeah, it's 7 songs. Some of them are quite intense, some are slightly lighter. But yeah, it's quite intense dark music. There's like a deep theme of sort of death and that kind of thing, so what's going to happen when we die, and yeah, so that was something that um I didn't actually plan, to write such dark songs. It's that kind of music, just it just comes out of me. And it's it's so hard to actually talk about it just straight away, because it's it's that kind of music, sort of carried around like my whole life. So it's got like a lot of sort of memories of sort of other lifetimes and very strange kind of things that I've felt and seen in my lifetime. And some of the songs, I mean, it's like these long kind of story type songs. So it's not, I don't know, it's not about my life, but at the same time, it's about a whole lot of things at the same. I'm extremely nervous, Oh my
There's no
gosh, it's
need to
my
be
first
nervous.
interview. So yeah, it's such a hard thing to kind of talk about, because my lyrics are so intense that they kind of say everything. So to try to put it into one sentence is quite difficult, because
Yeah,
it's,
yeah.
you know, it's not coming from my mind. It's coming from my soul and my heart. So
It's like you're a vessel for it to come true.
yeah.
And, when you're writing such songs, then what does the process look like? How do you approach it?
I do a lot of praying for songs to, sort of find me in a way. So it's a very deep thing that I do, and if I can be extremely honest with you, it's very strange. I mean, they they kind of have their own kind of being to them, like their own kind of entity that just come visit me. So I'll actually see someone's face or something, and then I'll be like, okay, this is very strange. So there's like a whole feeling of their, sort of life, or something, and it's um, lots of dreams and things like that, and I don't know, I have um, you know, lots of influences. I'm really actually reading books all the time, like very strange, interesting books. I'm having all sorts of dreams, I'm listening to all sorts of bizarre music. So I have like a lot of influences coming in. So I think that kind of thing just all, it just slowly kind of filters down into my whole being. And then I don't know, I just hear something, or I see something. Like I was actually out, I think it was last week, and I was at like some bar or something, and there was a guy there, and I don't know, he was holding his, I don't know, his drink, but in the way that he was holding it, I don't know, it was like he was holding a baby. So there's just that one tiny image, and then like, I don't know, this whole um sort of song just came to me, like just in a flash, like within 5 minutes. I saw like this whole image of this person and his life and his wife, and so why is he out by himself? And so yeah, I don't actually know how it works because it's not from the mind at all. It's from some other place. So, yeah, it sounds like a little bit out there, and yeah, it is out there for me. It's not like a normal kind of job where I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna write music. It just comes over me.
I get you. I get you. And you mentioned you have a lot of strange dreams and you use them for inspiration as well. Do you find it hard to kind of translate your dreams into lyrics? I know a lot of people have trouble remembering dreams after they've woke up.
Yeah, definitely. It is very difficult. But yeah, I write all the time, so I have a lot of um lots of words in me already, so I'm always kind of writing every single day. I'm just kind of writing like all sorts of things, yeah, like my feelings about the world. And so I have like so many lyrics just kind of lying around anyway. I have like stuff everywhere. I've got, yeah, so I think that kind of thing, yeah, it's sometimes difficult and sometimes extremely easy, so I mean, yeah, if I can think about some of the songs on this album, there's one or two that was so easy to write, but it's the most intense, dark, deep thing, and I just think, where does this come from? And then, something else, it just took months, one song just took months, and I just thought, okay, I can kind of feel it. I can kind of feel it, what it actually wants to be. I just don't know how to actually put it into words, because it's like a feeling more than a, yeah, it's hard to talk about because for me it's just like instinctual. It's complete instinctual. I've been playing for such a long time that it's not like I don't know, it's not coming from my ego. It's not coming from, like this human um sort of self that's like so nervous and shy of people. Once I'm on the stage, I'm like a completely, I'm like a different person altogether.
You made me think of something actually there. A lot of singers have alter egos. Would you say that when you step on the stage, then you have an alter ego who takes over?
Um, yeah, that is such an interesting question because when I am on stage, it's like my soul takes over, and my ego has to sit down. And if it's too much from my ego, if I'm like, oh, now I have to play really well, I have to sing completely in tune, and now if I do one thing wrong, it's a bad show, then it's just crap, It's not, yeah, it's just not that good. And yeah, it's really quite interesting because the audience can feel it immediately. They can just feel, okay, this is different now. And then they just, like they just slowly calm down and everyone just goes into this, I don't know, like a state of awareness. And then I can feel,
The energy in the room, I suppose.
yeah, 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 and yeah, it's quite intense, sometimes because I can feel every single person's energy in that room. So everyone's, like obviously drunk or they're on drugs or they, kind of feeling one thing or they all over the. So to try to feel that, but also actually go into myself and play in this really deep way is still something that I'm still kind of struggling with because it's that hyper kind of sensitivity is yeah, I don't know. It's super intense at times.
Sounds it. Sounds it. Almost feels like standing there with like a 10,000 watt bulb in your face and trying to, manage it almost.
Yeah.
Mm. And, the recording process, you've done it quite quickly. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So this album took 4 days. Yeah, and I did all the instruments. Yeah, it was about 8 hours a day, 8 to 9 hours a day. So it was very, very hard work. And yeah, it was very intense because I have to actually get the like whole kind of soul of it, straight away. Because if I'm not really feeling it at all, if I'm extremely nervous or it's I don't know, it's too cold in the room, or there's all these, sort of elements, it doesn't work. So I have to, I don't know, I have to actually do all these things in that room, like to kind of, I don't know, but then once it's working, then it's really kind of flowing, so I have to actually get into that altered state of feeling, like, which sometimes can take, a few hours, but other times it's just, it's straight away, and then I'm there, sort of focused completely, and then I can work for hours, and then it's finished, and then the whole album is done. It's, yeah, yeah. I think the next one though, if I could maybe, I don't know, because yeah, do it in that amount of time is extremely intense, and sometimes I don't know, there's certain things that you think are fine, and then you kind of listen back and you're like, no, that's actually like a bit out, you have to redo it. But I don't know, but like a rawness to it that is, it's not something that you can ever get back. It's like, yeah. So I think there's like a magic in it.
Mm.
That's what I feel. Yeah.
It sounds like doing it that way, though, that by the end of it, it would take an awful lot out of you. Like, I feel like you'd be physically, mentally, emotionally drained.
That's actually very, very true, Brian. Yeah, after that, I was out of it for a few weeks, and then I had like 6 or 7 shows. So, I was playing every single week. So I'm still actually very, very, very tired on all levels. Um, so yeah, that's also been quite intense.
Yeah, yeah. My God. You need to, like, every time you record an album, you need to take like a 3 or 4 week holiday.
Yeah.
And how does the final version of the album compare to the original concept that you had?
Well, it's actually no, it's completely different. I don't know, it's something completely that I did not plan for. These songs are so dark that of them I just have no idea how did that come to be. But yeah, I don't. It's so beautiful as well. Like when I actually hear it, I just start crying because I feel like it's not even me. It's me, but it's not me at all. It's yeah, no, it's like yeah, I don't yeah, it's like a really interesting kind of experience to have that where you sort of realize, okay, this is something completely sort of higher than me. It's just yeah, it's not coming from the ego at all because I didn't plan it.
I
Which
gotcha.
was quite amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I have to ask, when someone listens to your music, they obviously they get a preconceived image of you in their head of what you would be like, maybe. What are you like compared to the music? What's the real Emmaleen like?
It's so funny because so many people just, they just don't know how to kind of play me because I don't know, I don't know, you're just sort of lighthearted and like a bit nervous and then I have this like deep voice when I sing. And like, they just don't understand. So it's quite interesting. But I would say I don't know, I'm actually everything, I'm actually light and dark. I would say that that kind of singing and that kind of playing, I don't know, is my true self, and the rest of the time I'm kind of hiding in a way sometimes. I feel like I'm my true self on stage, but then on stage I have to kind of try to seem at least normal and try to, so it's yeah, I don't know, it's like an interesting question because I feel like it's me. It's also it's me, but it's also like a whole other thing as well.
Yeah. Actually, I find that intriguing now. It's kind of like on stage, it's you, but in your day to day, that's the alter ego. Would you agree?
Yeah, that's actually, that's like an interesting sort of point that you have there. I think I do feel like that in so many ways. I feel like I don't know, we in this I don't know, like this world where we all like we're all trying to be in line and like we're all trying like like there's always someone, I don't know, there's really kind of, it's just interesting how this whole world works. Like we're all trying to kind of do what we think we should do, but 9 times out of 10, it's not really what our, I don't know, our soul really craves.
Yeah.
So what I'm learning, I think, is to actually bridge those two now. So it's not like I'm just one thing and then halfway. Like to kind of bridge it all and. Yeah, so some of my songs now that I started are not as dark. They like all of a sudden they have like another kind of feeling. So that's also interesting. I'm not going to be writing sad music for the rest of my life. It might be different in a few months. Don't.
It's interesting. It's interesting. And you know what? Overall, the whole music process, what's your favorite and least favorite part? Is there a part that you really look forward to? And then is there a part that just feels like work?
Yeah, so this kind of for me is extremely, extremely difficult, having to actually talk to people because everyone's, like they're like all trying to kind of figure out. So that for me is extremely difficult. And all the advertising, Brian, and the marketing that you have to do. Otherwise, there's no one's going to hear you if you don't market it. So that for me, oh my gosh, with the whole Instagram thing, feels like it feels like work. It feels like, oh gosh, now I have to advertise, otherwise no one's going to come to the shows. So that's difficult. The thing that I really, 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 really love is the actual playing and the actual writing music. And because that's what I can do well. Everything else, it's like I have to learn from scratch. I have to figure out like the whole, kind of history and the way that you have to actually network with people and it can be cool, but other times I just feel like everyone's got such a ego about them. Like everyone's, I don't know, everyone's just they're just trying to say something in such a way that's like, I don't know, it's like a bit nasty of me to say that, but sometimes that kind of thing can be extremely draining, because everyone's trying to prove themselves. And so that part is difficult, but the music and film is everything. And that's, I don't know. It's my dream, like to do that. You know, like to play on stage for people is a big thing. You know, so yeah, I'm extremely lucky that I can do that. You know, there's not many people that can.
Exactly, exactly. And I suppose at this stage, so we'll give the listeners a sense of where you come from musically. So if you can you remember your earliest musical memory?
So I started actually listening to very old music from quite a young age. So I was listening to Hendrix, and my mom was listening to Nina Simone, and so I was probably about 2 or 3 years old. You know, I was listening to that kind of music. I was like, you know, I just wanted louder. So that's what I just said to my parents. Like, can you turn that up? Because I want to hear Jimi Hendrix. So I would say, yeah, so that was my first kind of memory. And something in me from a very, very, very young age was like, I understand this. I'm going to be doing that. The rest of life is going to be extremely difficult, but that's what I understand. I was dancing and everything, you know. I was, you know, I was doing these things with the guitar from a very young age. Yeah, so my family kind of knew, I think, like they knew, okay, that one's going to be doing something with art and music. So, yeah.
Right, right. And during your later years, then your teenage years, everything, what sort of music were you exposed to, and how do you think it molded you into the musician you are today?
Well, I was actually listening to very old blues when I was about 12 or 13. Like, you know, I was like a child still, you know, so everyone else, you know, got their bands and like heavy metal. And I was listening to blues. So Sunhouse, people like Sunhouse, Robert Johnson, um, very old blues guys, you know, I was that from a young age. Waits, I also, you know, I love Tom Waits, also from a young age. Bob Dylan, all those people, you know, the roots, you know, of music, I guess. Yeah, I went actually straight towards that from a very young age. So I loved that. But then yeah, in terms of sort of bands and stuff, I was also into very heavy music as well. I was listening to Korn and Slipknot. Sorry, there's like a dog outside. Um, Korn and like just very, very, very heavy music as well. And yeah, I was actually listening to all sorts of things, all different types.
It's a good mix, kind of almost polar opposites as well.
Yeah.
Then when it comes to concerts, as a concert goer, what concerts would you say have made you?
Well, I saw live music from quite a young age as well. So I was super, super lucky to see Guy Battery, which, you know, he's actually from South Africa and he's incredible. Um, yeah, I saw like a few people from quite a young age, and that's life changing, I think, when you are very young. Yeah, and I saw Metallica when I was 13.
Oh man.
And I was, yeah, it's kind of cool. I was arrogant as like a teenager. Like, yeah, but that kind of thing can change your whole life. Because then you realize that's actually, yeah, that's like a huge deal. And then I guess in my 20s, I traveled quite a bit, so I saw like a few bands, which was also amazing. And yeah, the concerts that make me, it's like such a interesting question. I can't, yeah.
It's hard to
I just got to
pinpoint, isn't
think.
it?
Yeah, it's very hard to pinpoint exact shows. You know, I've seen some stunning people where it really feels like, okay, it's changing from the inside out.
Yeah, yeah. And your own shows. I'm looking forward to hearing about this now. For any listeners that haven't caught one, give them the full experience if you can.
I'll try. So yeah, the way I start when I play is, I kind of have quite a bit, and I start actually chanting sometimes. Then so that I don't know, it really kind of calms people down. They like just sort of settle down. Yeah, I play like a few different instruments. It's guitar. I'm really actually solo most of the time. I might have, like a bit of a sort of drummer every now and then or something, to help me. But so my show on Saturday, I've got someone that's really actually played lots of drums and like some cello as well. The cello, I think, is super cool with banjo. That I don't know. It seems to work extremely well. The cello banjo.
Yeah.
So that's actually something new. So my songs are, I'll be playing lots of songs from the other album, the new album, and so it's sort of new stuff and old stuff kind of mixed in. Yeah, it's hard to kind of put into words, if you don't, if you haven't actually heard me. But yeah, so every show is something really kind of new, It's not the same show every single time, because if the same thing every night, I would get so bored. So, something different every night, or sort of slightly, So I will actually change the songs quite a bit. It's never the exact same hit or the exact same thing at all. So yeah, the audience kind of doesn't always know what's going to happen. So I think that kind of thing can be, it can be like a bit difficult for an audience, I think.
Yeah, it keeps it exciting for them though.
Yeah, I hope so.
Out of all the gigs you've played, is there one that sticks in your mind as maybe the most perfect experience you've had?
Yeah, I would say so. In the last month or so, in September, we had a show. I had 13 people there, but they were the most amazing audience, and they were really, 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 really listening on a very deep level. And yeah, there was something about the space being very small, and the sound being just extremely good, and just having 13 people, a very, very tiny audience, and everyone was just so lovely, and yeah, I think that for me was incredible. It sounds like it's just like a tiny audience, but for me it was amazing to have that. And that shows where there's obviously more people, but they don't really know me, so then they like talk a lot, or then they will like they're kind of listening, but then they're also not, and that kind of thing can be super difficult when you're on stage and you're solo and everyone's that they half or they're half not. So yeah, it's not when you have like an audience that's there with you. That for me is amazing.
Yeah, yeah. How would you go about then grabbing the audience's attention when it's like that, when it's a bigger one and they're kind of talking or whatever?
Well, that is so difficult. I think the way I do it to just to really actually sing from an even deeper place where it's almost like I'm going to start crying. Like it's so intense and so vulnerable. Not showing off and not kind of playing louder. It's not necessarily playing louder. It's just playing more intensely. Then people can feel it. It's not it's not so much about, okay, so now I'm playing like an intense solo. I mean, I can play solos, I can sing in all these different ways, I can show off if I want to, but that's not why I'm doing music. So when it's kind of coming from this intense, deep heart place, that's extremely vulnerable, then they listen. It's very interesting. It's actually fascinating because people feel it instantly. They like, oh, okay, and then they just calm down. But it doesn't always happen, which is fine.
Yeah, yeah. And I always say you have to have the good with the bad. So is there a gig experience you've had that maybe wasn't the best, and how did you overcome it?
Oh my gosh. If I can be honest, I'm so scared other people are gonna listen. Yeah, there has been quite a few shows where I felt like, you know, yeah, I'm just actually gonna walk that stage like a diva, like, and just throw down my instruments. But I do that. Yeah, I had this. I don't know. He was like a that. I mean, he was a serious diva, but he did this thing on stage. So now we like playing and everything, and then he starts talking on the phone, and like no one called him, and now he's shouting at someone while he's playing. So he's holding the phone in his arm, and he's still playing, and it sounds good because he's just amazing. So now I'm trying to sing like these intense songs, and then he's talking on the phone on stage. It's so embarrassing. And then I don't know, the audience is just not interested and like shouting at me. Like it's just that was not a great one. But yeah, it's been quite intense. But yeah, the last few shows though have actually been very, very, very amazing. I've had like small audiences, but they're actually listening to my lyrics and they're actually there with me. So, if it's like a, tiny audience, it's actually so much better for me, even though, there's not much money involved. It just feels much better when there's less people because I know that they actually want to be there.
True,
Because if you
actually,
have an
yeah.
audience that's just there and like they're just with their friends, they're out to have a good time, that can be fine, but it's not that kind of music. Yeah, I think that's all I'll say about the experiences.
Right, right. I have to say though, being able to play drums while on the phone is a talent in itself. There's not many, I feel like not even
Yeah,
John Bonham or someone would be able to do that. But
yeah,
obviously
it was
hugely
amazing.
disrespectful. Do you have a pre-show and post-show ritual? How do you psych yourself up before you go on stage, and then afterwards, how do you wind down?
Well, that's a big one, hey? Um, there's like a lot of things I do actually to get myself ready because this kind of music, it's not just songs that I'm just singing a nice song or it's like a heartbreak song, whatever. It's a kind of music that actually shifts, the energy in a space. So it's not just a song. It's like a whole kind of healing experience. Um, well, for me and for the audience, I'm kind well, not. It's not like an intentional thing, but that's what actually. I don't know. It's actually becoming that because in the last few shows, I've had people crying on the floor and like people having like I don't know, like these deep kind of experiences in themselves, and I'm realizing that okay, this is more than just a show where I just play some nice songs. It's much more than that. So I think to to get ready, I was like the whole day on my own. I can't like interact with a lot of people before I play. Otherwise, I'm just totally overwhelmed. I will do some yoga. I will do some like uh, lots of things that are quite strange, like with incense and candles, and I'll just kind of get myself into, a scented place that's very, that's very focused. And then after a show, I have to actually clean my field, like aura, quite a lot, because other people's ideas and stuff kind of, sort of stuck in my field. And sometimes I feel like, I'm not even in my body, which is quite a weird experience. I'm still actually on stage. Like, I'm not here now sitting in my house. I'm like a normal person again. So I have to actually ground myself. Like, I have to actually come back here into the earth, not be so almost out of it. It sounds really bizarre. I hope you can understand me when
No,
I'm
I get
all
you.
these things.
I get you. It's very interesting. And what do you hope people get from your music? The average listener, what do you hope they get from it?
I hope that they can actually feel something in themselves, if it's a good thing or not a good thing, because that stuff is it's there already inside a human. So if you hear a very dark song and you absolutely hate it, it's usually because, there's like a dark thing that's inside of you that's just getting triggered. So, people like it or not, I don't really mind at this stage, because I'm kind of, I know that it's not for everyone. It's definitely not for everyone, and that's okay. I don't have to actually take it personally, and to sort of think about other people all the time. I think it's not very healthy for an artist, like, to think about the audience, if they care or not. I think that's like a very that's like a very difficult thing, because at the end of the day, like, you keep other people happy. Like, if they, like, they like it one day and then the next day they're onto something else, or they change their mind. So I think what I hope is just to, if there's one person in the world that can feel something, then I've actually done my job. If it's 5 people, I've also done my job. If it's 20,000 people, I've still done my job. It doesn't really matter about, that kind of thing. But also, I think as an artist, like, you just have to, I don't know, like, you just have to make something, and like, you just have to offer it to the world. And then and then you just make the next thing. Like, I think to always think about an audience not is not healthy. I think, I think just to say, okay,
Here it is.
yeah, here it is. If you like it or not, that's okay. I'm just gonna make the next thing, and if you like it or not, that's also fine. If it sells, that's also nice, but it's it's not something that I can worry about at this stage of my life.
Yeah, I really like that now. I feel like that's something I've never thought of before. And it's almost like if you're worrying about the audience, it'll get you grounded as a musician, you'll stay in place.
Yeah, that's actually interesting.
And, when you think of your career then, how would you like it to evolve, say in 5 years' time?
Well, I think I really actually need to leave where I am, because I'm in a very small country, and it's small in a lot of ways. It's not just small as it's a small place. It's small in the mindset, and I feel like I'm in the scene that it's a very small, so everyone kind of knows everyone, and if you're not in the circle, then it's that kind of thing can be extremely difficult. So I think if I am actually going to like to do this seriously, then I'm actually going to leave South Africa and I'll play in somewhere else in the world or everywhere in the world. I don't know how that will evolve or unfold, but I think I have to. I don't know. I really have to actually make albums. I just have to keep writing music. I think that's what I have to focus on, and everything else will kind of unfold before me. I can't be too sort of worried about selling stuff. It would be nice to get more help because I'm actually doing everything on my own now. I'm actually organizing all my own events. So I think if I could have a bit more help, it would be amazing. Like, I don't know. Yeah, it would be quite cool, to have like a whole team of people.
It's a good one. It's definitely a goal. Yeah, free up your own time to focus on the music.
Yeah, exactly.
And before we dive into the last couple of questions, so future plans that are set in stone, any gigs, anything coming up you want to tell us about?
I have a show on Saturday, album launch, which I'm very excited for. So that's in a few days, and then I have like a few more shows towards the end of the year, and then next year I think I'm not 100% sure yet, but I think I'm gonna go on a small, a small little tour of South Africa. Maybe I think that would be amazing. I think I really need to do that next, I think. And then festivals. Yeah, so that's like my next big step, I think, is to try to get into festivals, send my work out and do that. And I think in the next 2 years, I think I'm actually going to try to immigrate, but that's a whole process. So we'll see when I get there.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll see you somewhere in Europe within 2 years.
Yeah,
so
amazing.
Be pretty cool. Pretty cool. And we'll dive into the last couple of questions. So these are a couple of fun, random music questions, but I'm intrigued to see your answers. So if you could see anyone in concert from history for one night only, who would it be?
Sunhouse.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
Like the quickness and the response. And the next one, now this is a bit of an odd one. If you had to be locked in a room with any musician from history for 24 hours, who would it be?
Oh, that is creepy. I don't think I should be locked in a room with anyone.
Right.
But I would say Tom Waits.
Right.
I late Tom Waits, but I mean that. Oh, yeah. If I could think of being locked in a room with Tom Waits, I think it would be very interesting, and yeah, fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully he'd be in a good mood, or it could be a bit dangerous.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. And I have to ask, what would you hope to learn from him in those 24 hours?
Well, I mean, there'd be so many things that I would hope to learn from someone like Tom Waits. But songwriting secrets, because he's also got this, I don't know, a weird kind of way of, kind of writing songs. It's like and then they like just come out of nowhere. Like he's his own, I don't know, like his own kind of ideas about songwriting. So I think that'd be very cool, to hear how he actually does it secretly.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be That'd be epic. And the final one, so now this is almost impossible, but we'll see if you can give it a go. What song would appear on the soundtrack to your life?
I love that question. It's just, yeah, just with my life is always changing. I would say that very old song, "This Little Light of Mine, I'm gonna let it shine." You know that song?
Yes, yes.
It's a song for children, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say that song because yeah, so that's how I feel right now. Like, I have this talent inside of me. All I have to do is, you know, yeah, share it with the world. And yeah, I love that song as well. When I'm feeling very, very sad or I'm feeling like I just want to give on stuff, I just sing that to myself to kind of comfort myself, I guess, and helps.
Right, right. Has to be that one. So listen, Emmaleen, I've really enjoyed chatting with you now over the last bit. Thanks a million.
Thank you so much, Brian. Thank you.
Sun and the moon shine in your eyes, switching blade with no one to despise. Hand me your gun and hand me your knife before you step foot in that door. The war you fight won't live for long. A lullaby light dying in your eyes, and the savior is the truth. Oh, with a hand on your shoulder, no father won't see what the son has become. The mother of the world has been dead too long. How can I crawl back inside you? Oh, who needs violence when it's all you know? Love is what you breathe and not what you own. All the darkness within me is safe and warm. The sun and the moon shine in your eyes, switching blade with no one to despise. Hand me your gun and hand me your knife before you step foot in that door. Looking and I'm looking, only to find my own face staring back in time, scorned and scorched with hell to pay. I'm going back to the place I was born. Now the blood of life torn from sleep. The first time it rained, I drank deep, and everything you thought you knew is ash turned to stone.
Hey guys, I really hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. And if you're interested in signing up to Band Builder Academy, use the link in the show notes below and enter the code CONCERTS and you'll receive 10% off. So, until next time, keep rocking.
Hey, what are you guys still doing here? The show's over. It's over. You can go home. Go on. We'll see you next time. We'll be here. Bye.